Okay, here we are for our continuation of creating histograms. So in our previous video we learned how to create the frequency chart. Now we want to change that frequency chart, or not change it, but enhance it by creating a histogram. So basically we're just going to graph the previous data. So the easy way to do it, or do it all at one time, is to deal with our raw data. The key thing here is, in order to use Excel to create this automatically in the fashion I'm going to demonstrate, we have to have all the raw data. So we have our raw data organized over here, and again we need to do that add-in feature. So going up to the Office button, we go down to the Excel options, going to the add-ins. After we get to the add-ins, we need to manage Excel add-ins, hit the Go feature, and you'll notice that I've already installed it, but if this checkbox is not checked, then we're going to be in trouble a little bit later on. So on the data ribbon, again we have the data analysis. If you don't have the data analysis button here on your data ribbon, you need to go back to through the procedure I just explained. On the data analysis, we want to create a histogram, hit OK. Now the input range, we're going to select our input range to set up our input range. Again, the input range is always going to be our raw data set when we're working in Excel and those types of options. Clicking here, and my bin range, I'm going to select my bin range to be my upper class boundaries. Hit OK. My output range, I want it to go into a lower region here in the chart, so I have a place to work with it. And this time, the previous time through, we didn't check anything here, and this time I'm going to check that chart output box. So I have a checkbox in the chart outputs, and we'll hit OK. And then something went drastically wrong. My output range is not liking there. Let's clear that up, and let's click on the output range, and let's go ahead and let that guy set up right there, and we'll hit OK. So now I get my bin just like we had the time before, and if you wanted to put your bin, I'm just going to copy that and paste it up here, so I have this real pretty chart if that was something that I was trying to generate to throw into a Word document or something of the sorts. I have that set up here, but the piece that I was really interested in finding was this histogram, so I get this chart output for free. Now you'll notice that Excel just kind of creates this histogram for us on the beginning, and it does a decent job of starting, but we have some formatting work to do. So first off, I want to resize it so that it has a little bit more of a presence on my page. And a histogram does not have any gaps between the bars. So the way to get rid of the gaps on the bars is to click a left click on one of the bars, and you'll notice that all the bars are highlighted. Then I'm going to right click, and I want to format the data series because I don't like the way it's formatted. I want to change the format. And what I will do then on the format is I want a no gap option. So I can make it a large gap or a small gap or a no gap. We want a no gap option, so now it has a histogram feature that looks like, or look that looks like this. I'm going to continue to resize it bigger on the horizontal so that my numbers will lay flat for me. Now you'll notice that my horizontal axis is labeled at 449.5, 499.5, and so on and so forth. Those are the class boundaries, but the unfortunate nature of Excel is it puts it right in the middle of the data here, which is non-representative of what's going on, because what is represented here is that between this line and this line, right here and here, there is one occurrence between 449 and 499.5, and that is not represented by the way that the labels are written. So what I'm going to do is, this is a little trick. If you're reading in your text, there's an option for an add-in with DDXL to make this work out, but I'm going to use a little trick that I've learned along the way that I'll share with you that will make things much easier. I'm going to take and copy my class boundaries. So I'm going to Control-C, copy it, and when I go to paste it, I'm going to paste special, so I want just the values, because I used some formulas to get those values, and I want it to be the actual raw values. And I'm going to add the lower class limit, which was all the way down at the bottom, so I'm going to add 399.5 to the top of the list, because my upper class boundaries started here. Those are my bins, but my lower bin that didn't actually get counted was 399.5, which actually should be that label that sits right here, because it's between 399.5 and 449.5 in this region here. So now I'm going to take my labels, and I'm going to right click I left-clicked on my label, right-click on my label, and it says Select Data. Now you'll notice that the data on the left-hand side is going to be okay, and on the horizontal category axis labels, I'm going to edit those, and then I'm going to select it to be these data values and hit OK. And now you'll notice that my data values have now changed along here. It's no longer the values that were typed in. I've edited it to change to those values. I'll hit OK, and now I'm going to line them up with a slide of the hand. I'm going to right click again, and this time I'm going to format the axis. Again, I don't like the format of it, so I'm going to change the format. And one of the options here is alignment. And on the alignment, this is the trick, I'm just going to give it a -1 custom angle. And when you do that, it shifts everything off to the left, and now my 399.5, my 499.5, my 499.5 are all lined up as they should be. So let me give ourselves a little bit more room here, and you can actually see the axis labels in the location where they're supposed to be. Last but not least, this bin shouldn't be a bin. This should be my credit scores, right? Because that is the range of the credit scores between 399.5 and 449.5. In that area there, I had a frequency of 1, and instead of histogram, maybe I want to give it a title like FICO scores. And there we have it, a histogram that can be then cut and pasted into a Word document, put on the web, wherever you wanted to put this information. Recalling from yesterday, we were talking about, is it bell-shaped? You can see, especially now that we have a diagram of it, that it does have that, that peaking, but it is not symmetric by any stretch of the imagination. So we're looking at this thing sliding off on this side, but we have a dramatic shift off this side. So not a normal distribution, but it does have a natural peak, but it doesn't have that symmetry we're looking for on a normal distribution. Now, one other point of confusion that comes up a lot of times when we're doing these graphs is sometimes we already have the frequency distribution, but we don't have the raw data, and we want to create a histogram. We can still do that, and the way we get away with that is to highlight the frequency and hit Insert and hit a column graph and hit my column graph. And again, I'll get exactly the same feature, and I can format, make it no gap, and so on. And what you'll end up with is exactly the same graph as we had before, but not having to go through the series of selecting the input data and all that information that we had to put in through the Data Analysis tab. So if you ever have a chart where you already have the frequency distribution and you will need to make the chart, one of the common mistakes is to select this and then go through the data analysis piece. We don't want to do that. If you want to just make a bar chart, a histogram, and you already have the frequencies, just select the frequencies, hit Insert, hit Column, and in comes your bar chart. We still have to go through again, format the data series, no gap, and and adjust the labels on the bottom.